One? Hello? Okay. So I take the cue from the earlier panel and the earlier speaker as well, primarily because of the fact that 2 years back, interestingly, in the same conference, there's one thing which was common across any airport transformation was the fact that collaboration with multiple stakeholders was the problem statement earlier, and it still remains the way it is. But I'm still hopeful. I'm sure with DigiYatra and similar initiatives, this thing is certainly going to be addressed as we move forward. Okay, so is it possible for you to just share the presentation, if you don't mind? Okay, so you're probably looking at a cusp in the Indian infrastructure industry as such, where the airport traffic or the airport transportation market is exploding in India. What we're going to cover in this panel is going to be the importance of design and development in building up the airport infrastructure to a large extent, to be able to handle that multi-fold exponential rise in the traffic that is supposed to happen. I hope you're able to hear me, right? At the back? Right, okay. So, sorry, before I go there, the construct of the next 10 minutes will be focused on these three elements. We're going to give you the CAPA India Airport Outlook for 2025, which is focused on airports. We're going to focus slightly on how airports are reinventing themselves as a result of this transformation which is happening, and this is going to be a global to a local transition that we're going to look into. And then basically, if you're going to look at transformation from this side, how are you going to be recalibrating your IT operating model exponentially from that point of view, right? So let's move on. So if you look at the Indian, domestic airport traffic projections, this is going to be multiplying 2x or maybe 2.5x in the next couple of years. You could say 2030, we're looking at somewhere around 700 million passengers to be flying from a domestic perspective. And from an international airport PAX perspective, it's roughly around 160 million. So that's a twofold jump that we're looking at from the current situation. What we are also seeing is, this is probably for the first time in the history of Indian aviation, is the fact that airport capacity is well ahead of its demand today. So that's a significant jump that we're looking at from a perspective of projections. Today, we have an investment pipeline of roughly around $11 billion, which is at various stages of implementation in terms of the airport development there. What we're seeing is the metro airports today are probably garnering the maximum investments for sure, and they have today the capacity of meeting roughly around 600 million passengers to move forward from a perspective of investments going forward. But what interestingly comes to the fact is the new airports of Navi Mumbai and Noida International Airport, they're going to significantly upgrade the metro airport capacity in terms of the travel that we're looking at. Beyond the metro, what we're also seeing, the non-metro airports are also significantly increasing the capacity as far as the airport traffic is concerned, which means that almost like $4 billion of the overall investment of $11 billion is today going into non-metro cities airport there. So that's the kind of development that we're looking at from perspective of airport investments there. So this is something which is what I've already put across, is the fact that if you look at the capacity from an NCR perspective, it's roughly around 200 million passengers. If you look at GMR, we're roughly hovering around 100 million to come in the next 1 year, and probably with a projection of around 145 million passengers in the next couple of years to go with. And same goes with Mumbai as well. Okay, so the important part that we really want to highlight is the fact that, if you're going to be looking at this kind of expansion to move at from a capacity perspective, the important element that Sunil really highlighted is the fact that how are you going to be able to drive happiness among your travelers which are going to come through. And one of the important things which we come across on a daily life when we travel from any airport in India at this point in time is the wait times. And can we really look at from a perspective of transformation of airports moving from their current state to a state where you're looking at something like an Amazon Go experience? How many of us know Amazon Go by any chance? It's a seamless experience of an online retail that has gone into the physical retail experience that we're talking about. So that's the kind of experience that we want to build up. So it may not be the right relevance from a perspective of an airport, but today, the way airports are transforming, they are themselves changing the outlook of seamless travel, as we call it, right? So in the next phase, I'm going to look at how our airports are really reinventing themselves. You can talk about Changi Airport, which they don't regard themselves as airport itself in any case. They're now saying that they are a services company. We're talking about Schiphol Airport, which basically says that we're based on a technology company, which is basically driving the entire experience across. So the way the transformation is really happening is in the mindset, the way that you look at airport today in terms of passengers. As the earlier speaker was saying, it's no more a transit hub. It's basically a destination in itself. So how are you able to drive that experience across is what is going to define the way that you're going to develop your systems across from an airport perspective. So if you look at the evolution of airports, it's pretty interesting. Pre-90s or 90s, they were primarily focused on the operationalization and providing operational efficiencies. But post-2010 onwards, what's really happening is it's moved from operational efficiency, which has still been the constant, but the important aspect is the experience management and partnerships have become increasingly important. And why did I highlight the earlier point of partnership is because the more and more partnerships that you develop, the more collaboration that you need to have along with various stakeholders that are going to come in. So the important aspect is how are you able to drive that collaboration, right? So some of the airports which have really transformed themselves, you've heard about Changi Airport, you've heard about Midfield, Hamad Airport. These are all APAC-related airports. And their focus has been purely in terms of destination airports, which is more from a perspective of how do you drive experience. And the result of it is very clear. You're having almost like 49% of growth today comes from non-aero revenues in itself. That's a significant transformation that you're looking at from an airport side of it, right? If you look at the European airports, they're more operationally driven. And that's primarily because of the fact that when you look at an operational efficiency, you've got to realize how much can you expand from a perspective of your space allocation there. Because they have constraints, they've made operational efficiency to be a very important part of their overall growth story. And that's where basically the European airports are really scoring on. So that gives rise to the evolution of smart airports. And as I say, the evolution, we are obviously talking about airport 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and 4.0. Obviously, the airport 4.0 is fairly far from its current state at this point in time. But what we're really trying to say is the growth trajectory that we see out of this particular implementation as far as technology is concerned, we're talking about around 18.2% of growth from a CAGR perspective. The implementation of these airports is a different story altogether because there's a big divide between people who or airports which have really implemented Airport 4.0 and the ones which have not. And that's the difference that defines what is basically the way that you're going to be looking at airports from an experience perspective. So when you look at smart airports, you're going to be looking at 2 or 3 things. How do you build automated systems? Because the infrastructure is becoming all the more complex. It's becoming low, from a perspective of budgets not being there. How you're going to be effectively utilizing those budgets to be able to drive this. At the end of it, it's more about how you drive the complete stuff, right? So I'll not spend too much of time into it now. I think I'm already exhausted on the time. But the important thing that I'm trying to highlight is the fact that it's a market where you're going to be starting to look at how do you drive technology, design, and processes in a way that will drive the next level of smart airports to coming through. And this panel today is going to be looking at the same discussions that we're going to have now. So let me just place myself right now. First of all, a warm welcome to all the panelists. It's a very interesting panel that we have here because each of the panelists today comes from a different field, right? We have Rakesh coming in from the construction side of the things. We have, Sanjeev coming from the IT side of things. And we have Venkat basically coming from the design and you would say master planning kind of elements. So it completely takes away the complete story of how to build and design airports right from scratch there, right? So without further ado, let me start with Rakesh. Maybe, would you want to maybe just introduce yourself slightly and what does APL Apollo do? I know that you've already done a presentation earlier in the morning, but yeah, I was there. But it'll be good to get some perspective on your side in terms of, you know, how is Apollo, APL Apollo really looking at things from a infrastructure side of things there, from a construction side?
Okay. Thanks, Anuj. So let me introduce my company, what we are into, and what we intend to do, and why are we here attending this session. So to start with, APL Apollo is the largest manufacturer of steel pipes and tubes, carbon steel pipes and tubes in the country. And we are very close to a global, we are at a capacity of 4 million tons currently, and we are very, very close to the world's largest company, Zekelman in USA, who are at a level of 4.5 million tons. We are supported by 11 plants all over the country. That means strategically we are very, very close to any customer. Close to any customer, which brings down our lead time as compared to my competitor friends almost by 100%. We have a turnover of around 18,000 crores, the market capitalization approximately 40,000 crores, and from current levels of 4 million tons, we are looking at a figure of 10 million tons in next 5 to 6 years down the line. And this will be either through organic, inorganic methodologies, mergers, acquisitions, setting up greenfield units. So that's in brief. We are serving the nation. We are serving the nation through our products to customers like CPWD, PWD, Indian Railways, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Aviation, and most of the large infrastructural projects running throughout the country. I'll name one of them, that is bullet train. We are also into that in a big way. We are present almost in every airport throughout the country, every airport. And considering the major expansion in Indian Railways, 1,400 stations to go for major redevelopment. You must have seen in the morning how many stations we are doing. So this is besides, there's one more point. We are exporting to almost 30 countries around the world, all advanced countries. So that itself speaks about our credentials. Coming to the, we are perceived to be a manufacturer of pipes, but over the last 2 to 3 years, our products, they are creating a revolution in the construction industry. What I explained in the morning, tubular technology, which brings down your construction time by 30 to 50%, which gives you a better carpet area, which is more environmental friendly. So in any civil construction, you were talking about the budget right now. Budget is a main constraint, one of the main constraints. But looking at the things, what we are doing, transforming